I once wrote the sentence, what is the word impossible? But the words, I'm possible. For a tampon wrapper. Okay, so for those of you who didn't hear, my name is Bronwyn. Yeah, that's it. It's not the joke, it's just a fact, but thank you for laughing. My name is Bronwyn. My friends call me Big Win. My parents have called me bronze medal since I was a child. And I've been fighting to be gold in their hearts ever since. I love that when my Irish father and Zimbabwean mother were naming me, they were like, you know what? We don't think her life will be confusing enough. Let's give her a Welsh name. Keep her humble. My smartphone calls me brown sauce. Not that smart. In my free time, I like to plan my funeral. Anyone else have a funeral playlist? You know what they say, always start your sets with your most relatable material, right? I come from a very big family. I never got to play my music growing up. And I feel like the afterlife would be my only chance to control the aux cable. Which is why I've curated an emotionally confusing playlist of my favorite songs. I want my family to have to sit there and listen to the Gladiator theme song, followed by Hakuna Matata. In fact, I don't even think I'd get them to listen to songs I liked in life. Is my final joke, I want my family to have to sit there and try to cry to Mambo No. 5. A song I really hated growing up, but I was always really jealous that my name wasn't listed in it. In my life BC, before comedy, I worked in advertising for many years. Thank you, that is the correct response, just silence. I was a very motivated career person, right? I was very good at my job. I was very good at selling things. I could sell anything. I once wrote the sentence, what is the word impossible? But the words, I'm possible. For a tampon wrapper. I once worked on a jingle for a luxury dog mansion brand. Diva dogs, where dogs live better than humans. I hate myself. Okay? But I worked in advertising for such a long time because I liked making money. Anyone who tells you that money cannot buy happiness has never lived in London and shared a house with Gary G, who labeled his eggs. Okay? Money can't buy happiness, all right? But for someone who used to work in advertising, I should be immune to ads, right? I know all the tricks. I know what I'm being sold to. But I don't care. I buy a lot of stupid shit. Right? Like after years of watching Joe Wicks videos, I was very inspired for 4 minutes and I got a very heavy kettlebell, which is now just a very heavy doorstop. The door has not closed in 3 years now, right? Another point, an ad followed me around the internet and convinced me to buy a weighted blanket for my anxiety. I don't know if anyone else has one of those. I got really bad anxiety, so I got, like the most crushing blanket that I could get. All right? But then I also got an electric blanket for the bottom of my bed, which was emotionally confusing, but also very erotic. But the stupidest thing that an ad convinced me to buy was a 16-setting vibrator called the Clit Annihilator. Now, it's not actually called that, but I will not do their advertising for them for free. Okay? I call this thing the Clit Annihilator, though, because technically this thing is not a vibrator, right? It should be classified as a power tool. It's so powerful, my downstairs neighbor told me to stop vacuuming my flat so late at night. And sometimes, very early in the morning. What can I say? My flat is very dusty, right? But the ads for the Clit Annihilator promised me an orgasm as catastrophic and destructive as the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. And there would be no survivors. I thought that sounded delightful. I was like, click, drag to basket. She will pay for next day delivery. Turns out my clit's a very simple woman who does not need 16 ways to be blasted off my body. Okay? Settings 1 to 3 would have been enough. But I felt the need to justify the purchase of this thing because I dropped a lot of money on it. So I did what any single woman in her mid-30s would do, trying to reconcile her relentless horniness. And that is, I had a date night for myself in the Clit Annihilator. And let me tell you, you have not lived until you've seduced yourself. By putting on some 90s R&B, lighting some candles, preparing a nice post-orgasm charcuterie board. That's charcuterie board for one. And then just totally gone to town on yourself with what can only be described as the Tesla of vibrators. Now, the clit annihilator did scare me the other night. I went out, I had some drinks with some friends, I came home, I was a little bit drunk, and I decided to go all the way with the clit annihilator, right? That's setting 16. And when I hit, everyone's like, "Ooh, when I hit 16, I might as well have hit a big red turbo button, okay? Because this thing sounded like I was trying to break the sound barrier. It was so powerful, it gave me heart palpitations. I thought I was having a heart attack and that I was going to die. And then I thought, what a way to go. Dead in my bed, the clit annihilator still buzzing. This thing's got a great battery life. It's like an old Nokia. It will not die. My downstairs neighbor would wonder why I was vacuuming the flat for so long. She'd call emergency services. We'd have to break into my flat, run up to my bedroom, pull back the weighted blanket. And I'd be in bed like Winnie the Pooh, tops on, bottoms off, belly out. Hand in the honey pot. And then at my funeral, my poor sister would have to walk up to the podium to the Macarena and say some like, well, at least she died doing what she loved. You've all been wonderful. I've been Brown Socks. Thank you and good night.